White conservatives is not considering this child an anchor baby. Education is elevation, and let's get into the conservative contradictions of everything they say about immigration. For instance, do y'all know that Melania Trump's visa was questioned in a congressional hearing this January 2025? You want to know why? Melania Trump was a college dropout who arrived in the United States on an Einstein visa. Get this though, the visa is reserved for people with extraordinary ability and sustained national, international acclaim, such as a Pulitzer, Oscar, Olympic winners. But listen, Barron was born March 20th, 2006. Melania became a U.S. citizen July 28th, 2006. Trump wants to end birthright citizenship when his own child is a product of birthright citizenship. We can question a Mexican-American citizen for marrying an undocumented Mexican. Oh yeah, we got to be able to question when Europeans do the same thing, or no? Oh, my mama, think about it. There are 666,000 illegal immigrants in the United States from European countries. The vast majority of them are white. Yet you don't see a single one of them have their children stripped away from them, raided, locked up in cages, and we all know why. We know equal protection under the law has always been a myth, and the word immigration has always been a code word for unwanted colored people. They ain't worried about their child being kidnapped. They ain't worried about dropping Barron off at school or in college and him being kidnapped by masked agents. Elon Musk worked in the United States illegally in 1995 after quitting his school job. I feel like if a Haitian immigrant came over here and worked illegally and ended up amassing a whole bunch of wealth, they would find everything to be illegitimate because you started off illegal. Let's pay attention to the language too, y'all. So Donald Trump's grandfather was an illegal migrant and a Trojan horse, which means that Donald Trump's parents is a product of being what they call a tether baby, an anchor baby, a birthright citizenship. To the people on this side, they do not believe that the Second Amendment only applies to muskets. So you believe the 13th Amendment only applies to descendants of slaves? It's stupid. Which brings me to another point. When these folks want to distance themselves from everybody that benefited from slavery, they love to tell you about their proud immigrant background and how their parents, their people, immigrated over to America after slavery. So they don't really apply to them, but they believe they have every right to benefit from all the rights and liberties that American citizens are supposed to get. Think about it. When we learn about Ellis Island in the American curriculum, it is always celebrated as being why America is so great. Everybody has access to the American dream, except for the folks south of the border, huh? Here goes an overview that's referencing 13 different sources. U.S. immigration policy has evolved from a relatively open borders in the 18th and early 19th century to a system of complex and restrictive laws influenced by factors like economic conditions, social anxieties, and changing demographics. Initially, the focus was on regulated individual characteristics, criminals, those with contagious diseases. Later, the restrictions was based on nationality and race and became prominent, particularly targeting Asian immigrants. In the mid-20th century, it saw a shift towards prioritizing family unification and skilled labor, culminating the landmark of Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, which dismantled the national origins of the quota system. Also important to note that quota system that was abolished in 1965 for immigration, it was done so because of civil rights acts. Which brings us to another important point, right? Ending birthright citizenship for one group would mean that it ends for everybody. Should such a change occur, a birth certificate alone won't prove citizenship. No one has said what the new process will be, but no, the U.S. citizenship can be jeopardized. In conclusion, let me remind y'all of what the Supreme Court said in the Dred Scott decision. The Supreme Court issued a 7-2 decision saying that the court ruled people of African descent are not included and were not intended to be included under the word citizen in the Constitution, and therefore claim none of the rights and privileges which the instrument provides for or secures to citizenships of the United States. And of course, Barron and Melania are going to be all right regardless.